Welcome to the Nordic Venture Show, your speed date with the coolest ventures, brightest founders, and exciting things happening in the Nordics. In this episode, our venture date is with NROC Security, one of the pitch competition winners at the Maria 01 Now 2025 event.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a topic that's, well, it's on everyone's mind right now, generative AI. And specifically, how it's transforming the workplace. The promise of increased productivity is huge, of course, but so are the very real questions around security.
Absolutely.
So today, our mission is to cut through some of that noise, really understand how businesses can harness GenAI's immense power safely, efficiently, and maybe turn security from like a roadblock into a strategic advantage.
But that's the goal.
We've gathered some fascinating insights into the real on-the-ground challenges companies are facing trying to adopt GenAI, and just as importantly, the solutions emerging to meet those challenges.
Yeah, and it's a critical point you raised. What's truly striking here is the stark gap we're observing between the hype, all the buzz around GenAI's potential, and the practical realities of like secure adoption within the enterprise.
Right.
While GenAI certainly offers incredible opportunities for innovation, efficiency, many organizations are genuinely struggling. They're struggling to fully realize the benefits because of these pervasive and, frankly, understandable concerns about data leaks and ensuring proper usage. It's not just theory, it's a real dilemma.
So let's jump right into that dilemma then. What are businesses experiencing right now when they try to implement GenAI? We hear all the talk about better productivity, but what are the actual obstacles? What's holding them back beyond just, being scared of the new thing?
It's definitely a multifaceted challenge, and the data, well, it paints a pretty clear picture. First off, the risk of data leakage is significant, really significant.
Okay.
We're seeing on average something like 32 instances of personally identifiable information, PII, found in every 100 business user prompts.
Wait, 32 in every 100?
Yeah. Imagine that nearly a third of prompts are potentially exposing some kind of sensitive personal data. That's a staggering amount of exposure.
Wow. That's way more than I would have guessed. Is that accidental? Or are people trying to get around the rules?
Often it's accidental.
Yeah.
Maybe a lack of awareness or sometimes just a user trying to be efficient, get the job done without fully grasping the implications.
Okay.
And compounding that is this huge issue of shadow IT or, unsanctioned use. A surprising 69%, nearly 70% of GenAI chatbot usage within businesses happens on free or personal accounts.
69% on personal accounts.
Yeah. Now, employees aren't usually doing this to be malicious.
Right.
They're just trying to be productive. Find a tool that works.
Sure. Makes sense.
But this creates these massive visibility and control gaps for organizations. It's like they're turning a blind eye to what's happening on their own network, essentially.
That's a huge blind spot. Absolutely. You're effectively losing control over data, over processes.
Exactly.
And beyond those security gaps, what about the actual usage? Are people even using GenAI effectively once it is available, or are they struggling?
That's another really interesting finding. Despite all the hype, all the investment, we're still seeing relatively low adoption and low skill levels. Only about 5% of users are frequently using GenAI.
Only 5%.
Yep. And even fewer truly possess the skills needed to prompt effectively, to really get the most out of it. So this often leads to wasted investments, right? Companies aren't getting the return they expect because users aren't fully leveraging these powerful tools.
So companies are buying these tools, maybe expensive ones, but most employees aren't really fluent yet. They don't know how to talk to the AI properly.
Precisely. And then layered on top of that, there's the concern of hallucinations, where the AI just makes stuff up, generates incorrect or misleading information.
Right, the AI confidently lying.
Yeah, exactly. And this is particularly worrying because a notable 34% of AI-generated content actually covers sensitive topics. Things like financial advice, legal documents, even software code.
Oh, wow. Soccer code.
Yep. So imagine an undetected hallucination in, say, a legal brief or a critical piece of software code. The risks there are, well, they're substantial.
I hadn't really focused on the risk with those kinds of sensitive topics, so it's not just general misinformation. It could be genuinely dangerous misinformation in critical areas.
Exactly. And we're even seeing this thing, people are calling it the BioC-WD phenomenon.
The what now?
BioC-WD, bring your own computer with AI to Workday.
Huh, okay.
Employees are bringing their personal GenAI accounts, their consumer-grade tools, into the workplace. Again, it often comes from a desire to be productive, use tools they know,
Sure.
but it completely bypasses existing corporate security protocols, oversight, everything.
I bet almost everyone listening has, at some point used a free online tool to do something quick at work, maybe not fully thinking through the security side. It just feels easier.
But human nature.
But it sounds, Lesh, if we pull all these threads together, the leaks, the shadow IT, the low skills, the hallucinations, this bio-CWD thing, it paints a picture of a technology that's both incredibly promising and, frankly, deeply frustrating for companies to manage safely. Almost a catch-22.
That's a perfect summary. It
Yeah.
really is. And this naturally raises the big question, how do we bridge this gap, this seemingly insurmountable gap?
Yeah.
The core really lies in establishing robust governance and effective guardrails. But guardrails that don't just restrict, but genuinely enable GenAI use. It's about a foundational shift in thinking.
Okay.
Starting with clearly defining what needs to be enforced before you figure out how to do it.
That makes a lot of sense. Start with the goal, not the tool.
Okay.
So if we accept that shift, what are the key pillars of a solution? How can we actually transform security into an enabler? Let's start with unrivaled visibility and insight. Why is seeing what's happening so critical?
Visibility is absolutely paramount, foundational. Without it, you're essentially flying blind, right? Trying to manage risk you can't even see.
Right.
So a leading security approach provides comprehensive monitoring, usually through real-time dashboards. These dashboards give you immediate actionable insights into exactly what apps employees are using,
Okay.
what kind of data they're putting into prompts, what content is being created in response, and crucially, any security friction points that pop up.
So you can see not just if people are using the tools, but how they're interacting and what they're doing with the AI output.
Precisely. It also provides clear, data-driven risk metrics, hard facts on your exposure. This includes things like detecting classified data in prompts, identifying the riskiest content topics being generated. And for compliance, which is, non-negotiable for so many businesses, every single prompt, every AI response, every policy action is logged. And critically, it's referenced against the user's corporate identity.
so you can track it back.
Exactly. That's essential for proving adherence to regulations. There's even functionality like a risk heat map, allowing you to pinpoint specific risks tied to employee usage of different GenAI sauce tools.
Can you give us a concrete example? Like, how does this detailed visibility play out in a real company?
Sure. We saw an instance with a customer. They have over 1,000 employees, processing more than 5,000 prompts a month. Pretty significant usage.
Yeah.
With this level of granular insight, they discovered something truly eye-opening. A tiny fraction, just 3% of their entire user base, was responsible for 50% half of all the PII detections.
Wow. 3% causing 50% of the problem.
Exactly. And that single insight allowed the company to be, as they put it, more lenient with their GenAI policies overall. Because now they had the precise visibility to address specific risky behaviors or users directly, rather than hitting everyone with blanket restrictions that just frustrate people.
That's a perfect example of enabling, not just blocking. It's targeted, surgical almost. So once you have this visibility, this clear picture, the next step is, okay, how do we actively control and guide that usage safely? And that's where these intelligent guardrails come in. Tell us about those.
Right, this is where the proactive protection really takes shape. The core guardrail capabilities are designed to be both robust and flexible. First and foremost, there's comprehensive data leakage prevention.
Okay.
These guardrails are engineered to stop PII, intellectual property, general sensitive data from leaking out. Basically, protecting users from accidental disclosures they might not even realize they're making.
Got it.
Beyond that, the system also has to protect against more advanced threats like prompt injections or jailbreak attempts, where people try to trick the AI into revealing things or bypassing its safety rules.
So it's defending against both accidental mistakes and deliberate attacks.
Correct. And there's also robust control over the response content, what the AI generates. This gives organizations the power to define acceptable use case boundaries for each specific GenAI application they use.
Each application, so you can have different rules for different tools.
Exactly. For instance, a CISO at one U.S. software company explicitly stated, "We are going to block nearly all AI from being used to generate FW code." That kind of granular control lets organizations tailor the rules based on their specific risk profile and business needs. Maybe code generation is fine in one tool for one team, but not elsewhere.
That level of specificity seems incredibly useful. But what about the human side? How does this help guide users, help them learn to use these tools more safely over time?
That's a really critical part of the enablement piece. User guidance and accountability. The solution provides real-time cues, prompts. Think of a gentle nudge like an, "Are you sure you want to share that?" pop-up.
Ah, like a little coach on your shoulder.
Sort of, yeah. It supports safe usage and fosters accountability. We had feedback from one management consultant who said, and I quote, "I had customer name in my prompt. It felt good when the security solution spotted it before it could have leaked."
That's great feedback.
It is. And for another customer, this guidance meant users were prompted or guided in about 14% of their interactions, which sounds small, but it led to an impressive 1,700 redactions of classified content per month.
Wow, 1,700 times a month that stopped sensitive stuff getting out. That's real impact.
It really is. The solution also offers sophisticated access control, making sure users access the right AI for the task at hand, with authentication that can connect even private GenAI accounts back to corporate user IDs.
Ah, so it tackles that shadow IT problem too.
It helps, yes. Policies can be finely tailored for different user groups, getting the right balance of access and security. And, crucially, in this fast-moving space, this type of solution needs continuous support for new models.
Good point. Things change constantly.
Right. For instance, support for Grok 3 by xAI was added very quickly after its release, and it was also recently supported as the first security vendor for DeepSeek AI. That agility is key, as the GenAI landscape just keeps evolving.
This all sounds incredibly comprehensive, these pillars working together. But often, the most powerful solutions are, well, a pain to implement. How does this kind of approach measure up when it comes to actually deploying it and integrating with compliance? That brings us to pillar 3, ease of deployment and broader compliance.
Yeah, and that's where its unique cloud-based proxy architecture really shines. It's designed for exceptionally easy deployment. A big plus is no endpoint agents or plugins required.
Oh, that's huge for IT team.
Massive benefit. Configuration can simply be pushed out via standard device management solutions, things like Microsoft Intune. We had a CISO from a U.S. manufacturing company note, pushing the configuration to our test group using Intune was a 5-minute job.
5 minutes. That's impressive.
That ease significantly lowers the barrier to adoption for organizations.
Okay, so quick setup, huge relief for IT. But what about the bigger picture? Regulatory compliance. That's always a major concern.
Fully addressed. This type of solution adheres to key compliance standards. For example, it's certified for SOC 2 Type 1, it's compliant with GDPR, ISO 27001 is on the roadmap. So businesses can deploy and use GenAI confidently, knowing they're staying within their existing regulatory frameworks.
Okay.
And on the broader regulatory front, it's worth remembering the EU AI Act, approved recently. There's a transition period, sure, but for most companies, the core controls need to be applied by August 2026.
Right, that deadline is coming up.
So solutions like this help organizations proactively get ready for that.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Beyond just protecting data and ticking compliance boxes, what are the bigger strategic payoffs? What's the upside for companies embracing this approach to GenAI security? It sounds like it's much more than just defense.
It absolutely is. We really frame security not just as defense, but as a strategic business enabler. The whole mission here is to accelerate learning, transformation, productivity by enabling the safe use of GenAI across the organization. It's about fostering innovation, not stifling it. And this approach also offers measurable ROI. There's potential to save up to 50% in enterprise GenAI costs.
50% cost savings? How?
By optimizing usage, reducing wasted licenses on unused or misused tools, avoiding costly data breaches, things like that. So this isn't just about security. It's about optimizing your entire GenAI investment, making sure you actually get the most value out of it.
So saving money and being safer, that's a double win in anyone's book.
Precisely. And it also directly tackles that low adoption issue we talked about earlier.
Right, the 5% usage.
Exactly. Solutions like this can potentially 10x user skills in prompting.
10 times?
Potentially, yes, through guidance and enabling confident use, and maybe 5x overall GenAI usage across the company, really helping to overcome that frustrating low adoption problem.
Right.
Ultimately, it allows businesses to strike that critical balance, protecting their valuable data, their IP, while simultaneously unleashing the creative potential and the curiosity of their users. It truly shifts the mindset from fear and restriction to one of empowerment and, well, innovation.
So yeah, it's really not about stopping GenAI at all, is it? It's about making it work better and safer for everyone, boosting productivity and confidence at the same time. A truly enabling technology. but only when it's properly secured.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's the essence of it.
We've really covered a lot today, taking a deep dive into how robust GenAI security isn't just, a defensive wall, but actually a powerful catalyst, a catalyst for innovation, for productivity within organizations. It seems to be about building confidence, building skills, allowing employees to leverage this powerful tech without fear and without resorting to that bio 2 what WD stuff.
Exactly. The core takeaway, I think, is clear. Success in GenAI governance really starts with defining what needs to be enforced first.
Yeah.
Get that right. Then find the right how. It's about moving from being kind of spooked by potential data leaks to safely enabling these massive gains in productivity, in learning, and ultimately in competitive advantage.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? Maybe consider this. What new possibilities for learning, for creativity, for just plain efficiency open up in your own work or maybe your organization when you shift that paradigm, when you move from restricting GenAI to strategically enabling its secure, confident use? Thinking about those stats we discussed, like that 3% of users causing 50% of PI leaks, how might the kind of price insight maybe transform your own security strategy? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or your favorite app, and connect with us on LinkedIn for more stories and insights.